You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome to Inspiring Leaders. I'm Donna Chandler Newman, your host, and thank you for watching our program. Through this show, we meet community leaders and we examine how they're using their unique talents and skill sets to make a difference. And through our discussions, we hope to inspire others to discover and to share their own leadership abilities for the overall betterment of our community. Now, I'm told that on any given day in the Memphis area, some 30 to 40,000 of our citizens aged 16 to 24 are unemployed and not in school. So, what are they doing? Well, you can be sure that there's a battle for the hearts and the minds of our community's young people. And thankfully, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis are fighting diligently and steadily to ensure that our at-risk youth, and indeed our entire community, are on the pathway to success. I think you'll be impressed by their programs and, more importantly, by their results. In this first portion of our show, we'll meet Keith Blanchard, President and Chief Executive Officer of BGCM, and along with him, Keenan Liggons, a true success story for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis, and now the BGCM Culinary Director as well. In the second segment, Keith and I will be joined by Anne Wulff, Chair of the Board of Directors for BGCM. Joining us now are Keith Blanchard, President and CEO, and Keenan Liggons, Culinary Director of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here so much today. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the good work you do. I know our viewers are going to be excited about hearing.
Well, thank you.
Well, Keith, let's start with you. You have quite a history and quite a background, and I mean encompassing arts and police work at one time, and then Boys and Girls Clubs all across America. Tell me how you ended up in Memphis, and specifically why Boys and Girls Clubs of Memphis.
Well, I had been working for a Boys and Girls Club for about 13 years when I was in Florida, and I was actually at a conference in Daytona Beach, Florida, and I met the president of the organization at that time. His name was Todd Patopoulos. At that meeting, it was kind of a chance meeting. We were really the first two there, and so we just started to talk about Boys and Girls Clubs and my history and his background, and I became interested and kind of intrigued. They had an opening at the time, so I came to Memphis and spent several days here kind of learning about the city and looking at the challenges that the city faced, and I decided that this was something that I really would like to take on and tackle and move my family here, and we've been here just a little over 4 years now. Really?
4 years? Yeah. And so that was a smaller market. This is a much larger one with larger problems?
I think some of the problems are very similar, and we have similar issues across the country, especially in major metros like Memphis. But yeah, it was definitely a step up in terms of the number of kids and the number of clubs that we operated, and but some of the same problems, gang activity and poverty, and problems with school education and so forth. But Memphis was a little bit more intense, and some of the problems are a little bit more complicated than they are in other places.
Well, we're glad you're here. You're making quite the impact.
Thank you.
And specifically, we have a graduate of your program, Keenan. Tell me about how you became acquainted with BGCM.
Well, I became aware of BGCM around age 15 and 16. I was a high school student at a high school across the street from the Technical Training Center, which I joined. And I had just been hearing all these great things about this program from my friends and classmates and other kids in the neighborhood. So I decided to go ahead and join and give it a try myself.
Well, so has it made a big difference in your life?
Oh, most definitely. Joining that program probably was one of the best decisions I ever made. It really pushed me, challenged me. It woke me up. I always tell people that if I didn't join that club, I don't know what I would have did. At the time, I was 16. I knew it was time to start transitioning into college or the workforce field, but I didn't know which route I wanted to go yet. So joining that Boys and Girls Club, it helps me discover passion in culinary field. It helped me to develop skills in that field, and then it helped me to excel in that field as well.
That's wonderful. I understand you're doing a great job there.
Thank you.
Let's go back a minute. Let's talk a little bit about the mission of Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis. It's not just Memphis, it's Greater Memphis, right?
Memphis, yes,
Tell me a little about the mission, and then talk about the facilities a little.
Well, the mission is to inspire and enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. So I think that says a lot. It's a large mission statement, but it covers a lot of what we do. So in our clubs every single day, we really have 3 program areas: academic success, good character and citizenship, and healthy lifestyles. And we run a variety of programs under those 3 pillars to accomplish our goals. But in Memphis, one of the things that really intrigued me, and one of the main reasons I came here, was the workforce development program, because career success, I think, is one of the most important things we can do for young people today. Prepare them for the workforce, give them the tools and the skills they need to succeed. And so that's become a big priority nationally, but we were one of the first organizations in the country to really recognize that and then lay out a path to accomplish it and actually build a center dedicated to that mission.
Well, okay, so what ages do you address? Where do you start? Where do you end?
We serve kids 6 to 18 years old typically, and that's kind of the range nationally. In Memphis, we go a little bit beyond that, so we have some kids that are 22, 23 years old. Just because they're not quite ready to enter the workforce yet, they might not have achieved all their certifications that they need to go forward. So we extended that age range, but our typical age range in our traditional clubs is 6 to 18.
And where do you all meet? I mean, where do you, now I know about the training center, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but tell me where else you meet around town.
Well, that's another thing that I really liked about Memphis and thought was very well thought out was the clubs are very strategically placed around town, and they're in neighborhoods where they're really needed the most. And I think that's something that doesn't always happen with a lot of organizations. So we're in some difficult neighborhoods. We're close to schools when we can be, and we're in a lot of schools right now. So that's another change that's happened since I've been here. So we operate some traditional clubs where we own the facilities, and then we're also in several schools now, 3 public schools and 2 charter schools.
So one of the facilities is the Technical Training Center. Is that where you were?
Yes.
Okay, so Keenan, tell us about the Technical Training Center and the program you went through.
At the Technical Training Center, it's different from a traditional Boys and Girls Club because we focus primarily on job skills and college readiness skills. We have soft skills curriculum there. We have IT welding programs there. We have, of course, the culinary track. We had automotive track. Logistics, yeah, that's the one I'm leaving in the logistic track. So what I feel is most important about that is that you show the kids that there's another route because just honestly speaking, college is not for everybody. So you can come there, you can learn trades, you can learn skills, you can learn how to be successful in other ways, which what benefited me a lot because I learned a lot of skills that I need now to be successful early on at that club.
Well, what makes it different for you being in that position now? How are you able to help the kids coming behind you?
Well, I give I think a different perspective because I've been through the program. So they can relate to me in that aspect that I know where they're at now, and I know probably kind of where they're trying to go because I was at that point I was kind of lost, I was confused, I didn't know which way to go, I needed help, I needed guidance. So I'm able now, being one of those students who was at the place that they're at and who received that help from staff members and from people like Keith coming in and from directors, the help that I received and what was beneficial to me, now I'm able to give them the skills that helped me, but also being fresher and younger and kind of more being closer to where they're at, I'm able to give a different point of view as well than some of my coworkers. So.
I'm sure that's true, and that is a unique facility. You have sponsors you didn't pick those areas by accident, I'm sure. Logistics, IT. Talk about your sponsors and who sponsors what over there.
We have quite a few sponsors, but some of our primary ones are Juice Plus, and that's the name of the center, the Juice Plus Technical Training Center. And then FedEx, of course, sponsors our logistics program. AutoZone sponsors our automotive program. NextAir sponsors our welding program, and the list goes on and on and on from there. So that's one of the reasons you mentioned earlier that we kind of looked at what was out there in the market and what jobs were needed and in high demand, and our goal was to help fill those jobs. So we're working really closely right now with the Chamber of Commerce, for example, to identify different companies and what they're looking for and what do they see as a good solid employee? What are they lacking? Why aren't they able to locate them in Memphis and they're having to bring people in from outside? So they help us develop our soft skills curriculum, for example, and then they tell us exactly what machinery we need, what equipment we need, so that our kids are prepared to go right into the workforce.
And they help you acquire them too.
Yes, yes.
They are actually helping train their own people that way, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Helping you train their own people that
Exactly,
way. So that's amazing. It really is. It's actually very long view, a long vision for both the companies and
Yes.
for BGCM.
Yes.
Yeah. So what makes BGCM so different? There are a lot of people addressing youth.
Right.
What makes BGCM so different?
I think there's a lot of things actually, but one is we're a facility-based program as opposed to something where they're just meeting with kids away from a club. We have an actual facility and a place to meet every day. We have kitchens where we served 160-something thousand meals last year.
Wow.
So every day our kids get a snack and they get a dinner. So, you know, we like to say, you know, our kids come in, they get their homework done, they get fed, and we run them until they're exhausted, and they go home and they're ready to go to bed. So the parents don't have to worry about it. But that's just one of the things that we do. That's one of the difference. I think to me the big difference is the quality and the staff that we have. We go out of our way to find really talented, good people, train them and give them the tools they need to succeed, and then deploy them into the clubs. And that's made a huge difference. And I think, you know, we started something here that again is very unique to Memphis, which is a training academy. So every new employee that we hire spends 2 weeks at our academy, and it's very similar to a police academy structure. Where you have a mentor that works with you during that 2 weeks, and then once you're ready, then you're deployed to a club and you're assigned to another mentor. We call them FTLs, field training leaders. And they help you along the way with everything from report writing, if there's an incident, for example, how to handle a crisis situation, how to come up with spontaneous fun on the spur of the moment. What do you do with 6-year-olds when they're bored? How can you keep them entertained? So all of that is part of that training. And so I think what we've seen is that's really made a difference in the quality of our program. Our goal is to have what we call the exceptional club experience, and that's how we accomplish it, by hiring those kind of people that have those talents and skills.
And before they're even brought on roll, you background check them,
Yes.
you do all the things to make a parent feel very comfortable with them being there, correct?
And that's very true, and it's very critical. I mean, in these times, you have to. And so we go out of our way to make sure that we're hiring only the best, and that we put them in a safe environment. Their kids, that's our #1 priority, is safety of our youth.
Yeah. And okay, so and you found that was so, didn't you?
I did.
I bet you did. So academic success, I know they come right out of school and they go immediately to Power Hour.
Yes.
Is that what you told me?
Yes.
And they do homework and everything else during that time. In our next segment, I want to talk a little bit about what you do with the girls too, because I know that very specific programs for the girls as well. Keenan, thank you so much for being an example for our youth coming up now, and thank you for graduating from the program and for, I'm sure, what is your culinary expertise. Keith, will you stay with us while we bring on your chairman of the board? Okay, all right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you both being here too.
Thank you.
Now we're going to pause now for a short break, and when we return, BGCM's president and CEO, Keith Blanchard, and I will be joined by the chairman of the board of directors, Anne Wulff.
We're running a 24-hour broadcast television station like no other school has done.
It is student run, it is student produced, it is student written, and it's student directed.
Here's to another 35 more years.
Students here get immersed in lots of different types of shows so that when they go out into the real world or to college, if this is what they want to pursue, they are so prepared.
Those lessons have also affected me in the ways that I would never even imagine.
It has shown me to be different and to, not settle for mediocrity. When you're producing a show, you want your show to be the best one it can be. You want it to be, a show to remember, a show that you want to look back on and say, I did that.
Yes, I did do this. Did I believe that I could do this? No, but because of all the support that I gained, I know that I can actually get this done.
I know that the skills I've learned here is something I'm never going to forget, and same with the experiences here.
From all of us here at GHS-TV, have a great day.
For more information about the Kappa program, visit ghskappa.com or call 755-7775. You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Donna Chandler Newman, and you're watching Inspiring Leaders. Today we're talking about the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis and their work toward improving the lives of our community's at-risk youths. We're pleased to continue talking now with Keith Blanchard, BGCM's President and Chief Executive Officer, and to be joined by Anne Wulff, Chair of the Board of Directors for Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis. Thank you for staying with us, Keith, and welcome, Anne.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're both here today. It's such a wonderful organization. And let's start again with you. You are the chairman of the board of directors, which makes this a volunteer position.
It is.
I understand you're recently retired from FedEx, or you've been retired a bit from FedEx. So you have a lot of unique talents and skill sets to bring this organization, and many organizations. There are about 3,500 organizations in the community that are nonprofits. So why give your time and talent and treasure to Boys and Girls Clubs of Memphis, Greater Memphis?
That's a good question. I think it's because of the kids, right? I've always felt like Memphis could just do a little bit more to help these kids that start off with fewer advantages than a lot of other kids. And as you mentioned earlier, some of these kids end up 16 to 24 without school, going to school, or having a job. And as important as it is for the children, it's equally as important for us as a community to recognize that if we don't invest in these kids when they're young, then they are at great risk to joining that group. And I think the Boys and Girls Club is an excellent way, not the only way, but an excellent way to figure out how to keep as many children out of that group as possible, and for them to become effective and great citizens of the city, to help us reduce crime and poverty. And of course, FedEx, having come from FedEx, we know the importance of having a solid workforce. And we need as many of those kids to join the workforce in Memphis as possible. So I love the idea that the clubs make a big difference in the life of a kid, and we have so many examples of those kids. But what I'd really love to see is the clubs to grow and develop so that it has an even bigger impact on our city and community and workforce.
So let's talk specifically about the impact, because I know that you actually have measurable results and ROI. Talk about how many kids you're touching, how their lives are changing, and what it does for the kids, corporations, and the community, Keith.
Well, you know, we serve a little over 5,000 kids a year, and
Wow.
we have an average daily attendance of about 1,200 a day. So we're reaching a lot of kids, but as Anne mentioned, you know, our goal is to be in every community, because there's a lot of communities that we're not in, and as many as we are touching now, we could do a lot better and reach a lot more, and then have even a more significant impact on the city and the things that Anne mentioned, poverty and crime. But we, for example, for 7 years in a row, 100% of our seniors graduated from high school.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so that's an honest-to-goodness statistic that we can all be proud of, right?
Yeah. And it's something we work hard to make sure that we do it every year, because we know a month or two out who's struggling and who might not graduate, and so we begin to work, concentrate on them and really work hard to make sure they meet that goal. At our technical training center, we average about 350 to 375 kids a year that go through that program, and 100% of those either went on to college, entered the workforce, or entered the military, or some combination of the three. And again, that's a pretty significant number, but we would love to increase that number dramatically if possible. And then we talked about ROI. We participated in 2 studies, a statewide study and a national study that were conducted by Boys and Girls Club of America, together with a partner, a third-party evaluator, and that nationally we give about almost a $10 return on every dollar spent on the Boys and Girls Club, but in the state of Tennessee it was closer to 13. So there is a lot of research out there that shows that there is a significant ROI with a Boys and Girls Club, And I firmly believe in Memphis that we go even beyond that when you look at the workforce numbers that we have.
So you're telling me that if I give $1 to Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the United States realizes about 10 back, and
yes,
the state realizes about $13 back.
Yes,
That's quite an investment, and certainly better than anyone's getting anywhere else.
Right.
And
That's
coming from
wonderful.
a business background,
Yeah.
it makes all the sense in the world to invest the money in these kids when they're young than wait to have to invest in them later, which I know is trite and people say that all the time. But can you imagine what it would be like in the city if we had 4 technical training centers and we had 15 or 20 clubs, how many more kids we'd reach, and how that could, one kid at a time, begin to really make a huge difference for our community.
And how many more disciplines you can address,
Right.
and how many more kids, and the domino effect of that is pretty amazing, isn't it?
It's all about the kids, but
It is.
the beneficiaries are all of us.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, isn't it, that, you know, by helping them, we are surely helping our corporations and our community.
And what I like to think about it as, the problems we have in the city today, they're historical.
Yes,
you know,
they are.
Those of us that grew up here, they were there when we arrived, and they're still there. Investing in the Boys and Girls Club is a way to maybe leave it a little bit better for our kids and our grandkids by tackling these tough problems that they are tough. I mean, they're complicated. But the only way to unravel a complicated problem is a little bit at a time. You have multiple solutions that attack the same problem, and then you've got to stay with it. You just have to stay with it. So the kids that are doing all the graduation, they generally have been with the clubs for a long time, because every day they have a place to go after school, and every day they get that reinforcement and get shown what it takes to be a successful person, citizen, family member, sibling. They have great role models at the Boys and Girls Clubs.
And we all know, though, that I know you'd love to have more facilities and all, but to run the kind that you're running now is expensive. So talk to me about where you get your money.
Well, it comes from a variety of sources. I mean, I think we do a pretty good job of diversifying our revenue stream. So, we're operating about a $5 million budget right now, and a lot of it comes from local corporations like FedEx and AutoZone and others that support our programs. A lot of it, we do 4 special events every year, so a lot of the money that we raise in those special events goes to our programming. We have quite a few individual donors that donate locally in our annual campaign. And then grants, we have city, state, federal grants. We just received a federal grant last week. Now that the government's back working again, so there was a little bit of a scare there, a little bit of a delay, but that all came through. So that's a mentoring grant, and which is we run in 3 of our clubs from juvenile justice grants. So we really kind of try to hit all target areas and make sure that when one of them's maybe down a little bit, we pick it up someplace else.
So basically it takes lots of money to run this, though.
Yes.
Professional staffs in themselves are expensive.
Yeah.
So even if someone gave you space, you'd still need the staff, right?
Yes.
So contributing to your organization, talk to me about the special events first. You do the tennis tournament, don't you?
Yes, we do, and it's an excellent tournament.
Yeah.
Once a year, we call up, my husband and I are both active tennis players, so we call up all of our best friends and get them to call all their best friends and have actually it was the largest am I saying this right? Largest non-for-profit tennis tournament in the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
We got an award for it a couple of years ago, and it raises a nice amount of money, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to get people who've never really been exposed to the Boys and Girls Club, exposure and knowledge while they're having a good time. So we have the tennis, we have golf, we have Steak and Burger, which is probably our best known program, and it does a great job of reaching a lot of people and awareness in the community, as well as raising money.
Talk to me about the Steak and Burger program, because I haven't been to that for many years, but when is it next?
It's April 25th is our next event, and it's been, we started that. Another thing about Memphis, the first Steak and Burger was actually created in Memphis, and then it's been replicated across the country. with a lot of other organizations. So we typically have a speaker, a guest speaker, and we've had everybody from Nick Saban to Penny Hardaway, who by the way is another alum of the Boys and Girls Club, went to the Iris Samuelson unit, along with several other people in town that you would probably recognize the names. That's one of the things that's really cool about this organization is how many people have come through it and gone on to do great things. Like Shannon Brown, who works at FedEx as well, who's also a product of the Boys and Girls Club and a senior vice president in HR and diversity at FedEx. So, you know,
he will tell you, just like Penny, the club saved their lives.
Penny will tell you that too, and he's you know, nationally known at least, if not internationally, and a graduate of our clubs right here, right? That's amazing. So, and he still feels the connection and.
Yeah, he still comes in, still plays basketball with the kids, and our club director, he grew up with that particular, Chris Garner, who's now at Craigmont High School, but they grew up together at the club. So that's kind of how that connection started, and then we learned more about it when he gave his presentation a couple of years ago at Steak and Burger, how, you know, his mom made sure that he went to the Boys and Girls Club every day and got his homework done, ate, and came home ready to go to bed.
Well, that is fabulous. It really is. So God bless him, right? Yeah. So tell me about Steak and Burger. If I wanted to go to it, it's April 23rd?
April 25th.
25th.
It's going to be at Graceland. And we typically, you can go to the website for all the information. The tickets are available online, or you can contact us. The phone numbers are all listed there. If you're interested in sponsoring, we're looking for corporate sponsors and individual tickets as well. But like I said, one of the unique things is a lot of our kids attend that event. So you'll be seated at a table with 3 or 4 kids from the Boys and Girls Club. You'll get a chance to meet them and talk to them about the great things that we do, and learn a little bit more about the program as well.
So volunteering, I know I could be on the board, but that's going to take quite a while, and I know each of your centers has one. You need volunteers for the burger?
Steak and Burger. Yeah, we use volunteers for just about everything. I mean, there's a large committee that works on the tennis tournament. We have a large committee that works on the golf tournament. Same thing with Steak and Burger. But if somebody's interested in giving back, whatever talents you have, I think I mentioned before, we have a person who strictly volunteer runs our robotics program.
That's amazing.
We have people that teach tennis in the club. So if you've got a skill and you want to share it with us and share it with our kids, we'll find a way.
You'll find a way to fit it in. So basically, your organization is giving back so much to our community, and you are welcoming donations, you are welcoming volunteers and participation in your program as well. Thank you for the great work you do.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Really is. Well, we're out of time, and thank you for being with us today for Inspiring Leaders. We appreciate our guests on today's show, Keith Blanchard, Keenan Liggons, and Anne Wulff, all with the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Memphis. Now, if you'd like further information on BGCM, you can check out their Facebook page or visit their website, bgcm.org. Again, that's bgcm.org. If you're interested in the air dates of Inspiring Leaders or for the station's complete programming guide, then visit GHS-TV.org, where we're streaming live 24 hours a day. You can keep up with GHS-TV by visiting our website. We hope you'll like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you again for joining us, and be sure to watch our show, Inspiring Leaders, again next month.